And welcome to another show of Don't Get This Twisted. I am the professor along with Tina, my co-host. How you doing, Tina?
I'm good, Professor. How are you doing?
I'm absolutely wonderful.
Good.
Because
I like that.
Because on off-air conversations are always make you sometimes happy.
Haven't we been on the off-air conversation about an hour and a half?
Yeah, it's super long, and and we only do a 45-minute show, which is really funny. So
right,
it's quite humorous. I think we're going to talk about some fun stuff since it's actually the day after Christmas.
Yay.
So we're going to talk about what we did on Christmas, and I'll put out the show really soon. That was me drinking water. So Christmas, what did you do for Christmas?
We had Christmas at my father's house, and part of the family showed up. And I had made tamales, which is a tradition in our family. And it was just kind of a weird day. My aunt brought some of the meat and the sauce that goes in the tamales. But other than that, nobody brought anything. So I was in charge of the tamales, rice and beans, and that's literally what we ate. I don't know if it was because COVID or nobody really knew what the heck was going on and didn't want to talk about it because they didn't want to be told no. I don't know what the heck it was, but there was a definite split in the family. And then there was just no planning on the side that hung out with me. So that was kind of weird. We've never had that happen. There's way more than what we need. And life is just really freaking busy on a holiday, but this last one was a little different. My niece and my nephew are 12 and 15, and I freaking love these kids. And I'm the aunt that just lets them be them. They could tell me anything, they could do anything, they could wear anything and not comb their hair. I just don't care. I just want to know them as them and see what they're going to be, because I have nothing to do with it. Right. So the last couple of years, we've been playing this game at Christmas where we wrap up presents or prizes in a big ball or a box, whatever shape it is. And we have to roll dice and try to, when it's our turn, we have to put on oven mitts and try to pull the plastic, the rubber bands, the tape, the tin foil, the wrapping paper, whatever the hell it is that I wrapped around this gift to get to a layer that has like a gift card or a toiletry, like random things we've been doing. And this is starting to become a tradition. And the kids were like really excited, like, come on, let's play this. Like, can we go already? And during the game, just the laughter and the frustration and everything, it was so much fun. We laughed so hard yesterday at that. That was worth the whole day.
And you use oven mitts.
Yeah.
Yeah. That would be a big fuck you. I'd be so upset. Just wanting to just murder people.
Okay, so the kids didn't tell me what they wanted for Christmas. And I asked several times over the last 3 months, because I really do like to plan for them. Mm-hmm. And they didn't ever answer me. It pissed me off. So what I do is stuff like that, because that's just my little way of saying, see, you piss me off, I piss you off. This is the way it is. I was going to take $100 bills and put it in a little tube and stick it down into a gallon of water and freeze it, and then put a bow on the frozen gallon of water and give it to them for Christmas. So the box was better.
I do like the water idea though. That is kind of give them that and an ice pick and say, go to work.
There you go.
That's pretty fun. And then you have to make a rule, like they can't drop it and break it. Like you literally have to just poke at it with an ice pick or a fork.
I wouldn't care watching them like a couple of monkeys trying to get to their money would be worth them because they didn't tell me. Now I'm the aunt. You could say you want to go somewhere, you want to do something, you want to catch a concert, you want to take a trip, and nothing. You couldn't tell me nothing. You couldn't help me out at all. Oh, hell no. Next year, they may get the gallon of ice.
The funny thing is I think that's going around though. Like mostly when you start getting into those years, I asked my son first, like, what do you want? And he's like, I want money.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right. Because he's trying to get a car. So I sent him money. Or I gave him money. And then of course I wanted to buy him something. So I got him something for his streaming. But my friend was in town, also asked him, like, what do you want? He's like literally. So she, of course, gave him money.
Right.
But I just think that it's, for one, it's hard to shop for some people because my friend who was in town, she asked my boy, like, I want to get something for your dad. What does he want? And my son goes, I don't know what you could get him because if he wants something now, he just goes out and buys it himself.
Right.
And I think that's it. I don't know. I think
it is kind of when you get to a certain age, if you've worked, that it is kind of nice that you could go and get what you need, what you want at any given time.
Yeah. I mean, we're at a lucky time where, you know, if you're doing somewhat okay, like I just go and buy whatever I want now. Like, and since we live in the Amazon world, it's even easier.
No joke.
We were talking in the car while we were driving. It was me and her were driving. We had to drop off her daughter, and we were talking to her about things like we would ask our parents for cash, but we still had to beg them for a car ride to the mall, you know, and like, so it was harder for us because even if we had money, it was like, oh, come on, Dad, can you take me to the mall, drop me off, and then I'll call you from a payphone
right.
3 hours later to come pick me back up.
Mm-hmm. Or maybe I could get a ride from so-and-so's mom.
Right. Because they're going to meet me there and I can get that ride home. Matter of fact, if you had the ride home, you could probably get a ride there because the parent, you know, no parent wanted to do both rides.
Right.
They're like, I'm not doing that shit. You better find someone how to get home. It's like, oh, okay.
That's true.
So we were talking about our kids and like, now we just give them money. They don't care because Amazon brings it for them. They don't, they just wait for it to come in the mail.
So true.
So it's just a different time. So it was pretty interesting. Like the things we were talking about, just how things are different at Christmas time.
Mm-hmm.
So I was lucky. She came out last Saturday and then came to hang out at my house on Tuesday through the week until Christmas time. And then my son ended up going to his mom's on the 23rd. So it was more like just kind of a hangout time for me come Christmas time. It really cool. It was an old roommate of mine from my 20s. And like I said before, earlier on some other podcasts, probably my best female friend other than, you know, you and her are probably the close seconds of how long I've known somebody. But okay. obviously I lived with her and I never lived with you.
Right.
Which I probably could have. That would have been a very scary thing as well.
Why do you say that? I'm starting to feel like.
No, I don't mean scary.
You're giving me a compliment.
I mean scary like her. Like we're such good friends. It would just like, I think we would have just had such a good time. It would have been because we're the way we are with each other and we can say whatever we want. It would have just been a really good time. I mean, scary as in like, I think we would have gotten a lot of trouble. Like me and you together living in the same place.
We've done some stupid shit together over the years. So
that's what I mean. So could you imagine every day And then we don't even have to plan anything. We just be like, hey, let's go do this.
Oh my God, that sounds kind of fun.
It probably would have been. It probably would have been a whole lot of fun. And like I said,
you're saying too much fun. I get that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I kind of need somebody to keep me reined in a little bit. I've noticed.
Yeah. So, going through this last week, being able to hang out with her and just kind of talk the past and all the other things with us have been a really good therapeutic time for me. I had a really good Christmas Eve. Leading up to it was just a really good time. And she ended up having to fly home on Christmas Day, but I still had Christmas morning with her, and it was just a really great time.
I am so glad.
Yeah, it was really good. And we'll see what comes from our crazy week together. And like, she's a really good friend and could probably be way more. So we'll see. It was a really good time. I had probably one of the better Christmases I've had in a long time.
I love hearing that. I really do.
Unfortunately, we didn't have a time to meet up with you like we were going to, but I will make sure the next time that she heads this way that we will definitely make sure we do that.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
Yeah. It was fun. So how was the rest of your family thing?
Family was good. We had extra people show up, which was really nice. And it just wasn't a big deal this year. I don't know. I think because the kids are growing up and the families are kind of split right now and the moms aren't around, it's just a different vibe. It's just a different feel. For instance, I didn't decorate. My dad didn't decorate. My brother didn't either. I don't even think we thought about it. I know I didn't think about it until Christmas Eve when my dad said something like, "Oh, you think we should have put out the tree?" And I looked at him like, why? Isn't that for people that like that? We haven't been interested since Mom passed, and that's been 10 Christmases ago. So it's kind of it was her thing. We never really liked it, looking at how we are now. And so that was a little, I don't know. And I didn't go shopping until Christmas Eve. I don't know what I was thinking on that either. But it didn't feel like Christmas this year. But I don't know what Christmas is supposed to feel like now that I'm getting divorced anyway. It was just kind of a weird time. And I wish I could have seen more of my cousins. And I'm so happy I got to see the ones that I did. And I don't know. I guess I was just kind of missing what Christmas used to be like when like our grandparents were alive, and it was just a totally different time.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think yes, as we get older and things change, it's definitely a different feeling for me for Christmas. Mm-hmm. It's not easy. I think it's harder. And like I said, most of my family is out of state. So I was really lucky that I had someone in town to kind of give me some kind of Christmassy feel and some kind of family feel, because I haven't had it in a long time. So it was nice.
I've invited you 100 times to you could ask for any holiday, whatever we're doing, you're more than welcome.
I know I am.
And we could sit and make fun of my family. Shh.
That's true. and you know me, I'm always good to make fun of people.
Oh my God, I love that about you. We do it in such a not so mean girl sort of way, though.
Of course. Yeah. It's like going to I didn't go to anywhere to go shopping, really. I just Amazoned it. Mm. But Christmas time shopping and sitting in the mall or wherever you're at watching people, ooh, that's a good time. That's like get a burger and a drink and just watch people. It's easy. because then you can tell your own stories about who you think they are.
I've done that with my niece, and she told me that I needed to go to therapy.
Yeah.
She's like, yeah.
I mean, I think we all need to have a little therapy.
But when it comes out of her mouth, it kind of cracks me up. My niece and nephew say some funny things to me that aren't quite right, but they're so funny you can't help but just let them be who they are. Mm-hmm. I love it. My niece thinks I'm pretty freaking amazing, but she also thinks I'm crazy. So there's these two sides. And she gave me the hardest time. I'm like, Teddy, today is the day that your daughter breaks my heart. It's today. She wants to be mean to me. I'm not doing anything to her.
So,
I like her, though.
Did you have, or do you have family traditions besides like tamales, which is funny because you're not Hispanic?
Yeah, we have the tamales. No, we don't have really many. I mean, the tradition was you get together, you eat, and you hang out. And it doesn't matter if you like your cousin sitting next to you or not, you be nice and just spend the day together. And everybody just kind of stayed neutral, even if it was just for a day. And the kids used to play, which used to be us. And I used to love going out and hanging out with my cousins. And I think we're missing my cousin too. That's also happening. My cousin that passed earlier last year. I think we're all kind of just dealing with that too. There's a lot going on, but nobody's really talking about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of wild because, like, again, when things happen like that, as we get older or things change in life, like you still try to keep that positive Christmas vibe because you don't want to say like, oh, it'd be great if this was here. Because both my uncles passed away and all my cousins now live out of state. Like, it seems like everybody these days lives out of the state. So, yeah, it is hard. Like for me, I would always go to my dad's house. Just that's what we did on Christmas Day. So Christmas morning, we do, kids things and unwrap everything and then go eat turkey and mashed potatoes. Like that was that was for years and years and years. And then when I lived up north in Ventura County with a roommate, I would still try to go to my dad's house until he moved out of state just to kind of keep that tradition alive. In the last couple of years, obviously, it's just been me and my son. So, for the first time last year, I bought another tree and we put a tree up and then I put it up this year again. And I'm going to try to keep that kind of going as well, at least to have a Christmas tree. I put up stockings for me and him.
Yeah.
Just to try to keep that alive. And like I said, having someone in town this year was really cool because her daughter was at her dad's house and my son was at his mom's. So like Christmas Eve, it was just me and her. And we kind of talked about even the past of like our families and like things that we really hadn't talked about in a long time and really opened up to each other about the nonsense of knowing her for 34 years. So lots of little things dribbled out and teary eyed and talked about our parents because her dad's not with her anymore. So it's kind of an interesting thing too, like that sometimes Christmas ends up being something way more than you think it was going to be. Yeah. So that's kind of nice. And I miss my parents. I wish one of these days I need to start trying to make trips out for the holidays because at some point they're not going to be here anymore.
So I'm going to encourage you to do that because not having my mom, I'd give anything to be able to do that. So I'm going to kind of encourage that because once they're gone, you don't want to have the regrets. You just want to do it. You want to be there with them and you want to say, thank God I had that time. Because Because you already got to go through so much changing and growing after they pass that you don't need regret on your plate too.
Correct. And I think that that's a big thing. Like you have to, when my friend was out here, she went down and saw her mother, who obviously now that she lives out of state, she's not going to see her as much. And we talked about that as well, that like, she's glad that she had a chance to come out here and see her mom because, you know, when you don't have your parents close to you, it's kind of important. The funny thing is when I went to go pick up my mom, or I went to go pick up my son from his mom, my mother called in the car and my friend was with us, and my mom remembers me living with her.
Right. And you guys lived together for quite a while.
Yeah. I think it was like almost 3.5 years and in our 20s. So it was like, and we were dirt poor.
It was a long time ago and it seemed like forever.
And it seemed like yesterday, because that was another thing we said to each other. Like we were talking about dumb things we did when we lived together. And it was like, yeah, that was like yesterday. And she goes, yeah, it was like yesterday. So it was kind of interesting to like, I was like, oh, you know, she's in the car with me. And my mom was like, oh, blah, 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 blah. And, you know, and it's funny because my mom always loved her, like, and always asked like why we weren't together. It's like, why weren't you guys together? Oh, well, I'm like, yeah, I don't know, Mom. So, and it's funny because as we record this, my friend just texts me because she's back home.
Hey.
And I sent her a picture with me sitting in front of a microphone. And she's like, oh, you're recording? She's like, what episode is it? And I said, oh, it's what we did for Christmas. And I go, so it's pretty much about you. And she was like, geez. Yeah. And she goes, how are you going to talk about that? I was like, very lightly.
Yeah, because I got the other version off air.
Yeah, exactly. You got the version that probably shouldn't be told yet on the air. That will probably be for another day. But it's funny. She's like, oh my goodness, like, how are you going to talk about that? And it's like this. It's easy because we really just did a lot of like soul searching, and she got to say a lot of things to me that I didn't know, and vice versa. And I think our friendship is definitely a different thing now. And I also got yelled at, and I got told that I can't say certain things to her anymore about anyone. So, you realize during the holidays that the effect you had on some people's lives.
Mm-hmm. So, it's nice when you have those moments to reflect on things that have gone on throughout years in your life, that you come to a place, there's kind of that moment that everything just kind of comes together. It's a good time.
Yeah. And again, not to make this a emotional show, but it was a really good thing.
Are you going to cry?
No, you know me. I am definitely a crier. Like I am not a good, when I get emotional, I get super teary.
Yeah.
It's funny because I wrote her a letter while she was getting ready to go get my son. I wrote her this really long letter. And as I was writing it, I was kind of getting teary eyed with her. And I folded it up and I was walking past her because she was doing her makeup and she could see my eyes. She's like, are your eyes red? She's like, what's wrong? I'm like, oh, nothing. She's like, yeah, there is. I'm like, no, it's fine. And then a few minutes later, I walked to her and I said, here, I want you to read this letter. I go, don't read this letter until you're on the airplane. She goes, oh, that's what you were doing over there. And I was like, yeah. She goes, do I have to be on the airplane or can I read it in the airport? And I was like, read it when you're on the airplane. So it was a very interesting thing. She didn't say anything about it today, but she wants me to call her later. So I'm sure either she's going to totally ignore what I wrote her or she'll bring it up. But
see what happens.
She's
to be continued.
Yeah, she's an interesting cat. And like I said, I've known her for so long that you look past a lot of stuff. Or like I told her, sometimes you don't see the forest because of the trees in front of you. So sometimes you have to take a chainsaw with you. cut a few trees down along the way. But it was good. I like I said, an interesting Christmas for me in the last couple of years, that I got to spend it with somebody who obviously means the world to me. And I got to understand more of why we are the world to each other. Like, lots of things that you take a lot of people for granted. And this is friends or family at the holiday season. Like I said, like we were talking about your mom, like you take that for granted, that they're just going to be there forever, or that your friends are going to be there forever, even though you might have done horribly shitty things to them. And they probably shouldn't be there. And for some god awful reason, hung on to you by a toenail.
You can't take the blame for something you didn't know was going on, though.
Well, yes and no. I mean, obviously I knew I did something shitty to her. And yes, I knew what I did, and I knew I hurt her, but I didn't realize, because of our friendship, I took the friendship part for granted and kept saying things to her that I probably shouldn't have. And because she's the great friend that I have, she held it in, and it was time. And I'm glad she did. Like I said, it's a very fine line of what happened between us years ago. And obviously she stuck out because I'm an asshole sometimes. And she was nice enough to tell me that several times over the last couple of days, that I am kind of an asshole. But it was just a good thing to know that my friendship means so much, and vice versa, because we've been through way too many things, and our lives kind of paralleled each other too. Like our kids are a year apart.
Right.
We got divorced almost at the same time. Her daughter's name starts with an O. My son's name starts with an O. Like these weird, metaphysical parallels that were like that we kind of knew, but kind of blew off. And then we were talking over this, and I was like, oh yeah, this happened to me. And she's like, my ex-husband's just like that. And I was like, oh, this is my ex-wife, and then this and that. And it was funny because I kind of told you off the air, but we went out to pick up my son, and my ex-wife was there, and I had introduced them. And my ex-wife went to her and she goes, oh yeah, I know all about you. He told me that years ago, and blah, blah, blah. And it was kind of interesting because my friend afterwards was like, oh, I had no clue that you had told her about me. And I was like, and then I kind of told her as well. I go, I have probably told lots of people about you, and I didn't realize it. And
yeah, you're just talking about your friend.
Yeah. But, like obviously on a much larger level with a lot of different people. And I think it kind of made her feel good that she like realized that, yeah, like I've told a lot of people about you, and we, you just don't realize the impact some people have on your life. and to make sure that, the friendships that we have, you included, to make sure that those don't go away. Because you've been in my life since I was 17 years old.
Yeah.
Or 16 years old. So it's the same kind of thing where, and I think that people that you could meet would also say, I have talked about you. Do you know what I mean? Like in this, there's a small group of people that have probably had a very larger impact on my life that you don't realize it until you kind of sit down and go, oh yeah, like Tina's been there since I was this, and I didn't talk, and I was kind of a weirdo guy. And now people can't shut me up. Like my friend who came out was just like, you fucking talk and talk and talk. And I was like, because we were talking about being good communicators, and which is kind of a humorous thing. Because I kind of said something to her and I was like, yeah, you could have said these things to me before. And she's like, I'm not the greatest communicator. And she goes, sometimes I hate being around you because you're the master communicator. She goes, you'll say anything to me. And sometimes I don't know how to do that. And I was like, I go, you're a better communicator than you think. You just don't realize it. I go, you've said so many things to me over the years. You just don't think you're a great communicator, maybe based on whoever else. And I was like,
well, I think too, that as we know, communication, there's so many levels to it. There's verbal and nonverbal, all the body language, and you really do get to know your women. I've even noticed you pay attention to me. You know us on a different level. You like to know us more intimately than most guys do. You're just one of those people. And so you get the nonverbal too. So if she thinks that she's not really a good communicator, for most people, she could be a bad communicator, but right. because we had that class, and that would be a good freaking subject to have a podcast on, is the communicators class that we were in high school. But I think because you had that, you pay attention to body language and different cues that most guys don't even think about. So
that's probably true. I mean, again, our class, and we're going to do one on that, because I wish that I could have some kind of teaching degree to go back and try to do that class again. Because I think these days that would be an amazing thing to do.
Yeah.
So just so you know, I just got a text from her as well that said, please, if you have a chance off air, tell Tina that I said hi and Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Jen. I'm looking forward to meeting you.
So communication is kind of a weird thing. And again, if we can wrap this around, like looking at the holidays, like I think that if we need to communicate more to make sure that during the holidays that we have the relationships that we either are searching for or have lost along the way, because again, we're going to run out of Christmases at some point, and it's important that we, as people and friends and family and lovers or boyfriends and girlfriends and whatever we want to say, like the people we have in our lives who have been there for many, many, many years, they're important, and
we need to treat them a little bit better.
We need to treat those important relationships as the most important relationships in our life. Because if we don't, it's going to be bad. We talk off air a lot before we do this show, and there's people in our lives that we have taken for granted for a long time.
Yeah.
Or the people who have been in our lives who don't see us for what we are.
You're getting in your feels a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, a little bit. Just because, look, like you've been in the same position I have, and you have to tell people. Because one day they're going to either wise up or they're not. You're in the same position, so you got to wise up.
I think too, Rob, I'm probably the worst for telling people how I feel about them and giving them the warm, fuzzy stuff. I'm not good at that. I'm the one that shows up. I'm the one that well,
that's totally you. You are the one who shows up.
I am the one that shows up. My grandmother, my mom's mom, she never told me that she loved me. That wasn't her thing. She just, I don't know what it was with her, but she was a hard ass woman, loved the hell out of me. I was one of her favorites. And she never told me that she loved me a day in her life. Right. I used to play games to try to get her to say it, and I couldn't get her to say it. But you know what about her? She always made me feel loved and important and supported. And that to me was a really valuable lesson because I'm not the warm fuzzy. I'm kind of like her a little bit. When you're a kid, I'm all over you. Right. As an adult, I keep my hands to myself. I don't know what that is, and I need to stop being so weird, but I am. So I just think that if you show up, if you're there for your friends, that should be enough. But I'm the worst because all my friends say they want to hear it. And I have to say, if you're in my life, if you're currently a part of it, it's because I want you there. And if I want you there, that means I love you, because I'm really not playing for popularity. I'm playing for keeps. Like the people that I have around me, I want to keep. So, and I love the hell out of you. My favorite, I got a favorite friend story. I kind of want to call you by your name. Anyway.
It's okay.
So,
we're going to get to my name anyway, Tina. Like, so, I already got yelled at once about that by my friend as well. She's like, stop using that moniker. It's dumb. And just say what your name is and get it over with.
Yeah. So I remember when I was 18 years old, you lived down the street from me, a couple of big blocks or like city blocks away. And I had my wisdom teeth pulled out. And my boyfriend at the time was supposed to be there to help take care of me because they had to really dig into my jawline to get the root. And I was swollen and in a lot of pain. And you remember, I don't really take the medicine very well. Like it stays in my system. And my boyfriend at the time didn't show up. Side note, he was flown to San Francisco to have sex with my cousin, which was another story.
Well,
So that's where he was. So we didn't know at the time. But anyway, the professor here sat with me on my waterbed all stinking weekend, back when TV was bad on the weekends, and let me lay with my head in his lap and just watch bad TV. And we colored together all weekend. And that was that's like my favorite friend story, because that you don't have guy friends that'll do that very often.
Yeah.
And even in the days of bad TV, that gets you like extra kudos.
I would have to think hard to pick a story for you.
Pick a good one.
Just because there's been some crazy ones and like other people you've brought into my life because I had to go to a football game that turned into something other crazier but truly, I think that of all the good ones, and there's a lot because we had a lot of good times together. I think the one that probably hit home was not too long ago when we sat in a Denny's that we thought we would be there for 10 minutes and we were there for 4 hours.
I didn't think it would be 10 minutes.
I didn't think it would be 10 minutes either, but I also didn't think it would be 4 hours. And from that came this show, along with a whole shit ton of other situational things that I didn't know was going on in your life at the time. So it's kind of a weird thing sometimes where people cross our paths again and something comes from it. And
we've always done that though.
And yes. And it's funny because the friend that I'm talking about, we've always done that as well. Mm-hmm. We lived together and we disappeared and we saw each other when we were going through a divorce and I moved out of state, and years later, she's back in my life again and things happened and she's still in my life and I had a chance to again see her again. And this is these things where people who come into our lives who are special, you have to hold on to. And I'm definitely going to make sure I keep a hold of these people that you included for the rest of my life, because we don't get too many good people.
You got to. I'm the one that'll do that stuff that, like, come on, team, let's go do it.
Yeah. That is you. And you're also the one that if I tell you about something like the stuff I talked to you about off air about somebody, you would be the first one to push me towards them. and I think
I don't know if that's good.
But you know what? It sometimes is important because when you question things for a long time, sometimes you need a close friend to just go, stop being a dumb fuck and see things for what they are.
You know, I like to do that, but people don't like to take that from me very well. So I really don't say enough. I think I need to start just owning it because let's face it, I do have a way to just tell the truth without like leaving anybody's emotional being not intact. Like I could just tell them, come on, be honest. Let's just do this and
exactly.
knock it off. But I really do keep my mouth shut a lot. I'm not liking that part of me. I kind of like the one that would say anything and do anything.
Maybe I'm just lucky then because I don't think you really hold your tongue with me. Like you're pretty straightforward. Like you have no clue saying, hey, this person is not good for you. You need to fucking move the fuck on.
Yeah.
And sometimes even in a blinded rage of stupidness, because we all don't like to listen to our friends, it takes a little bit of something else for somebody to go, God, I should have listened to her way back then because, I should have.
I just think that everything is a lesson. I could tell you what I see, but then I got to back up and let you learn your lesson.
Yeah.
And I'm okay to do that because I know that if you get too far out of line, I will say, hey, exactly. I put my foot down right now. You're going to listen to me.
I let you ride that train for a little bit. It's time to get the fuck off.
Yeah. Once it becomes something it shouldn't be, I'm the first to say, no, okay, come on, let's stop that. But I like that you're not perfect. I'm okay with that. And I'm okay that you let me not be perfect.
Exactly. And again, the people who are in my life, I think that mean the most know that I'm not.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's all that matters.
Thank God, because if you were perfect, do you know what that would be like to keep up with you? I wouldn't want it.
Horrible. It'd be horrible.
No.
it would be horrible. But that was at least my Christmas. I'm sure I probably got a little more personal. And I just told my friend via text that she's pretty much the part of my Christmas story. And she was like, no, tell them this. And so I have to at least tell you this. I have said that I've been losing a lot of weight. I'm down about 40 pounds now.
That's awesome.
And my friend for Christmas got me some t-shirts. And I was wearing a 3X to be comfortable.
Yeah.
I wore 2X generally, and she got me XLs and they fit, and she was very happy for me. And I had a smile from ear to ear because I was very excited. And even my son goes, I haven't seen him smile like that in a long time. So I did promise her that I would at least say that part of the story and not just make this podcast about her, because she was not very happy when I said it was pretty much about her.
Sorry.
She was like, no, not about me. Make it about something else. And then I didn't lie to her, but I definitely twisted the story. I said, we're just talking about what we did for Christmas and you just happened to be here. That's why. Now, the truth of the matter is that's probably not true because we talked off air and I told you way more than will be on this one, but
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. God, I love that you can tell a white lie right to my face. It was a good Christmas for me. I'm really glad things happened the way they did. And my friend came to town and
I'm seeing you happy. I'm liking seeing you happy. Yeah.
Yes, that was it. And she also told me that I'm not allowed to say that I'm not having a bad day every time that we start this podcast off. So I'm also going to do my best to say that I'm having a good day because I'm going to try to have a good day.
Yeah. Fake it till you make it.
Yeah. Hopefully not faking it, but definitely she goes, stop doing that. It's not good for you. And I was like, yeah, you're right. It's not. And maybe after this weekend, I think that again, sometimes you need somebody to rattle your cage a little bit and show you that there's a forest beyond the trees.
Better days.
Better days, for sure.
Better days.
And on that, we are at 44 minutes, and we're really cooking when it comes to being on time these days, I got to say.
That's good.
Do you want me to give the grill of where you can see us, or do you want to do it?
I think you should go for it.
Let's do it. Yeah, you can get us on all kinds of platforms. You can get us on Spotify, Apple, Google, Amazon. You can just use our RSS feed. You can get us on Facebook and Instagram. I'm doing my best to update those as much as I can, but like everyone else, I'm tired. But you can find us on Facebook and you can find us on Instagram. I'm trying to update when we're going to do the shows. They're every Wednesday. Besides that, there's really not much else going on. It's a good thing. We are definitely going to do different shows because I was told by my friend when she was here that we have to do the Zoom meeting call, and we're going to have multiple people come on and just shoot questions at us. And she kind of made fun of me. She goes, I don't think you're going to be able to handle it and be able to answer these questions with people. And I was like, we will see. So we're definitely going to do some fun stuff. We're going to have more guests, really maybe just guests to talk about regular stuff as well, just to kind of make it a little more fun. And mostly on your side, Tina, because you have lots of people that I think that could add to this show. We're definitely after again this weekend, I was telling my friend about the sex idea show, and she was like, oh yeah, you definitely got to do that show. Mm-hmm. So we're going to do that as well. She has agreed to come on and do whatever show we want. So besides doing one on COVID that she wants to, I think we should just grill her on other stuff, because you guys are going to have a good old time together, and I will probably really have a bad time on that show.
I did not realize how alike we were until you and I sat down and talked again.
Yeah.
I just, she was the only woman, well, besides our mutual friend, mm-hmm. that I didn't feel was throwing shade at me before they even met me. Mm-hmm. She's the only one.
I think listening to you for the last 18 shows, she really realized that you guys could probably be really good pals together, because you are very similar and your outlooks on a lot of different things are very much the same and very much different. Even she said that, she's like, like when we talk about things, she's like, oh, that's totally not me. And I was like, oh yeah, that's good. I mean, everyone can't be the same, and that's the best part. So, besides that, I think we're good. Any last, little things you want to say?
Just happy holidays, everybody. And I hope that next year is better than the last.
Yes. And don't drink and drive. It's a bad thing.
That's a good one too.
That's why there's Uber. Yeah. Because I'm telling you, you can get really loaded. You might end up sleeping on a bathroom floor somewhere. Oh, and just so you know,
what does that mean?
Yeah, that's going to come out. But just so you know, there's a new term that me and my friend came up with over the weekend, because we were talking about something else, and she meant to say foreplay, and she said floor play. And I was like, I said, so from now on, when you end up sleeping on a bathroom floor together, it's called floor play. So I want her to smile now. She should get something out of this, the end of this show. All right. Well, on that, we'll call this the end of the show. And as you know, this is an opinion show, so don't get it twisted, but this was the holiday one. So everyone should be smiling, and I hope you had a good Christmas, and we will see you or hear us or any of that crazy stuff in a week. We'll see you then. Bye, Tina.
Bye.